It said in August 2019, the American President Donald Trump criticized America's central bank. He said that the US economy was healthy because there was no inflation and that it was a decision made by the central bank that were limiting economic growth. Inflation, if there's inflation, it's one of the things the central bank will always want to do is to set an inflationary target. So as soon as the inflation target, whatever they have set as inflation targets, exceeds is whatever the inflation is, right? The actual inflation is, and if the actual inflation rate exceeds the inflation target, then the central bank will come up with hold on please. Will come back with interest rates. Will come up with monetary policy, which will bring about increasing interest rates. So here, when we're talking about the central bank, we're talking about the apex bank. The highest, is the most supreme bank in the country. So what are the functions or the roles of central bank? One, they go about implementing monetary policy. When we talk about monetary policy, we're talking about the use of exchange rate, interest rate, money supply to correct the economy or to correct aggregate demand or to achieve economic objective within the economy. So if the central bank of the economy feels that there's inflation rate, so to correct inflation rate, government or the central bank might use monetary policy to correct inflation rate. And if it's about high inflation rate, the government of or the central bank of that government, in collaboration with the government, might use what we call contractionary monetary policy to correct inflation rate, and that means they will increase the interest rate. So an increase in interest rate brings about a high cost because interest rate is the price of money. And when we talk about the price of money, we're talking about the price of saving or the price of borrowing. So contractionary monetary policy means the interest rate is increasing. There's a rise in the rate of interest, the base rate. So as soon as the base rate increases, borrowing becomes expensive. As a result of that, people stop borrowing. That might reduce inflationary pressure, which is mostly demand pull inflation. And you get the point here? So if there's a high inflation rate within the economy, that's why Donald Trump is saying here that the American economy is fine because there's no inflation. So which simply means there is low inflation rate within America. So that means the central bank, it's politics anyway. So he's taking it to the political aspect of it. So let's don't dwell on that. But what we need is what the central bank does for every economy. So one of the things the central bank will do as a role or as its function is to use monetary policy to manipulate the economy. So when monetary policy will come into place is when there's increasing inflation rate. So if inflation rate is increasing, they can use the interest rate to reduce inflation rate by raising the price of borrowing. It simply means people will stop borrowing, rather they will start saving. So an increase in saving means there's more withdrawal within the economy. So as a result of that, people will not be buying. They would rather save, and this demand pull inflation would reduce as a result of that. So when demand pull inflation reduces, it will reduce because firms are not selling as they used to sell. So they wouldn't have any other choice than to reduce the prices of their goods to attract customers. So that's how to solve demand pull inflation. So an increase in inflation rate can be solved through interest rate. An interest rate is a monetary policy or an instrument policy that has to be implemented by the central bank of a country. Mm-hmm. So that's the first point. I think it's clear. The second role of a central bank is currency issuing. The central bank of a country issues currency. They are the one in charge of printing and minting currency. Do you understand that? So whatever money, whatever currency we spend here, whatever denomination it is issued by the central bank of the country. That's another function or role of the central bank. With another one we could talk about is bankers to the government. We talk about the central bank being bankers to the government simply means the central bank takes charge of government accounts or whatever administrative work that involves finance is done by the central bank of the government. So that means of the country. That means the central bank will take charge of account holding, account opening, account maintaining of the government. I think it's clear. Another point we could talk about is that the central bank is also the lender of last resort. And when we talk about the lender of last resort, we're simply talking about the central bank being the bankers to other banks. So the central bank can be the bankers to other bank, using quantitative easing, using giving money or giving loans to commercial banks when they are when they lack liquidity. So these are the roles of the central bank. Any question about central bank?
Thank you, Mr.
Welcome.